Sunday at the table, family we meet. Old school stories, New York nights. Men in dark suits underneath the city light. Respect was earned, your word was gold. These are the stories that Giacomo told. Sicilian blood, American soul. Two different worlds made one man whole. Raise up the curtain, let the story begin. Giacomo Amato, welcome everybody in. Tomatoes and garlic, espresso and wine. Stories at the table from another time. From Sicily's shores to the American dream. Life wasn't always as easy as it seemed. I remember the faces, I remember the names. The old neighborhoods and the old school ways. Some stories are funny, some stories run deep. And some are the time that a wise man keeps. Sicilian blood, American soul. Family and tradition wherever I go. Turn up the lights, let the whole world know. It's Giacomo Amato, and welcome to the show. From Sicily to America. The food, the people, the stories. Giacomo Amato, and this is my show.
Okay, welcome. That's my open invitation. I'm a Sicilian immigrant that came to America in 1965. First generation. We had no family members here. We didn't have no Malancino, mafiosi, in America. So I had to make my bones. At a young age, I started in Brooklyn. I didn't have. I could speak English. I was going in the ghetto schools. I'm glad you like Montenegro, my music. Yes, it's a music that I created myself, and Anthony put the lyrics on it and made it to be what it is. My son. So Jack Amato, my mediator, Giacomo Amato. One day I'm gonna find out who he is. Okay, friend. Okay, so that's where I began, and I've been telling a lot of stories. Okay, I've been telling a lot of stories, and I'm gonna now take it up in 1992. Joe Messino came home from prison. When he came home, he was on his own club that he had, that he created. It was called what was it called? The cake, something about cake, distribution to the catering trucks, because he owned the JJ Deli. So that was a place he owned, JJ Deli. And then he had the social club, but it was called the Cake ANS, yeah, which was JNS, Joe Messino Savatali cake business that they took it over. It was a friend of mine. They stole it from him, and they made it their own. When and that's how it became a social club. So anyway, when Joe Messino came home from prison, I had to show respect to him because that's what the way it was. I was told, that it would be my protector, my uncle through marriage. I didn't believe it, but he became the boss. He was the boss of the Bonanno crime family when he came home from prison. So I had to kiss his ass, which who would not kiss a boss ass? Being that you're in a family and you're doing your own thing. I always sat with them, with Joe Messino, Salvatali, a family gathering, dinner at the table. I always was upfront with them. What I felt, they did the same towards me. So, I was sitting with a boss. Prior than him, I was sitting with Rusty Rostelli, the boss of the Bonanno crime family. So I always said with the bosses, is anybody around in this podcast going, that they said we're bosses? They talk about slum, street talk, wannabes, So they're not at my fucking level. I was my own man, and I never took the oath. That's why I got my new logo now, because I'm the new guy, on YouTube, and I'm coming out and declare myself. And anybody who thinks otherwise could come, could come and we talk and face to face with all these guys, gangsters, wannabes, whatever they want to fucking be. It's amazing they don't even fucking mention me. They don't even call me a liar. They don't call me a bullshit artist. All these guys in podcast from some of the bull coming down, Michael Francese, all the way down. None of them. None of them. And I'm sure a lot of people have been asking them, who's this Giacomo Amato, known as Jack? Who is he? Do you know him? I'm sure they're fucking asking him questions. And they got no answers because they don't know nothing. They can't tell them things about me that they don't know. Am I real? I'm sure they know I'm real because everything I'm talking about is true. It's a fact. I said with Joe Messino, Salvatali. And like it or not, yeah, they turn rats. I knew all along that Joe Messino was not a cable guy to be a Cosa Nostra guy. I knew from the start. And Salvatali, wanted to kiss his ass. So I was very close to Salvatali. We always talked. I gave them a lot of, opinion, my advice, especially to Joe Messino. A lot of times he had problem, dealing with the responsibility he had. And I used to talk to him at the dinner table. We talked. Even though he didn't find me on his level because he was American, I'm a greaseball, was a Guinea, he respected me. He respected what I think, the advices I used to give him and the advice I used to give Salvatali. I'm here, I'm standing, and nobody has come challenged me or tried to bait me, if I'm telling the truth or not. I got books, audio books. A lot of guys don't want to read. They can listen to the audio books. I've been attacked since 2016 when I came out with my book. So, and this is where I am today, 10 years later, 2026. I just turned 73, and I'm here. I'm not impressed by some of the book Romano. I'm not impressed with Michael Franchese. I'm not impressed with the rest of them. They want to be journalists. It's all bullshit. It's all a fabrication because they don't really know anything about the life. But I was there with them. We talk about the Bonanno crime family. I also was very close to Trudy Carmine Franchese. Carmine Trudy Franchese that related to Michael Franchese, Sonny Franchese. We were very close. I became very close with the Corazzo brothers in East New York, the powerhouse today, even today, well respected. The other guy I was very close was to Fritzi Giovanelli in Ridgewood, very Lucchese crime family, very powerful. So I have my dealings and hanging out, as a young boy, with these people. So I learned the ropes. I knew what was it all about to be your own man and create your own activity, and I did that. And but Joe Messino, I had to always bow to Joe Messino because he was a Bonanno crime family, and that's who I was associated with. After I left, uh, Ridgewood, and when I left this New York, and I went to Long Island, owning my own Amici restaurant in Franklin Square, that was controlled by the Bonanno crime family under Tony Hirsch, Tony Green Urso. We became very close. We were close since 1970 when these guys were nobody. So I have a long history being around with this mobster. Not short period, not like a little activities. So anyway, when Joe Messino came home in 1992, I brought him a bracelet as a gift. Welcome home, and I bought him wine. Expensive wine, Chianti. From Italy. For the boys to have a celebration, welcome home. He was related to me through marriage. But besides that, that don't mean shit. You could be brothers too. It don't mean nothing. It's the title you hold in the Bonanno crime family. He was a boss, coming home to reign. Russell Rastelli was dead. So he was the powerhouse. And I had to show respect. So I had to leave from Franklin Square, Long Island, to go to Maspeth, in his neighborhood, and show respect. And the first thing he said to me, he says, now, thank you. He gave that to Sal to put away. He opened the bracelet. He looked at it, liked it. I mean, I didn't go fucking buy him $10,000 bracelet. You know what I mean? I give him fucking $1,000 bracelet. So $1,000 bracelet to him was like shit. You don't mean nothing. I didn't really want to do that, but you had to do something. You had to give him a gift for welcome home. But that was a different set, from a family celebration. Because now, when he came home, that he did the 6 year staying straight through, he came home early. Josephine, his wife, he wanted with Savatali. They rented a place in Montauk, not Montauk, excuse me. I can't think of it. Not Montour. Anthony Sayre. Anthony, what was the name of the place? The Hamptons. The Hamptons? Yeah, like the Hamptons, right. It was in the Gulf. Beautiful estate, and they were going to spend the whole month there. This way the family could party, celebration. And I got invited, with my wife. We went there. Yeah, I left the business for the weekend, and had Anthony, with Gabriella, running the business, because Anthony was already 18 years old. He was a very mature boy already. So Gabriella, the kitchen, and there was other people, older people that were waiters in my place that I trust, very professional guys. Anthony would know the names. I forget everybody's name. This guy was like an old timer, and he was like the head waiter there, and he was classy, Italian guy, and he was a knockaround guy. He's been working for other restaurants, so he knew the scoops. So I was able to move around. Especially Anthony was my eyes and ears in the place. He could watch the place. He had his friends with him. So Anthony's over here. He stand by very quietly. So anyway, that's my story. That I hang out with the bosses, sat down with them. From the very beginning, and from the 70s, 80s. Now we're in the 90s, and Joe Messina was the big boss in the Bonanno crime family, and all the captains that worship him. That he was going to take him in the new era, a new regime, because everybody was in trouble. John Gotti, not soon after Joe Messina came in, he got prison for life. The Lucchese, Azaro, Amuso, they all went to fucking prison. They Persico, his sons, got put away too. So everybody was away. The only thing it was left in the street was Cincanti. And the feds were going after him. So he was playing with the rope, being a senile. He couldn't do much. So they relied more on Joe Messina. So he became very close to Vinny Cicanti. Now, but Joe Messina having Vinny Cicanti, Lucchese crime family on his side, he was a powerhouse. And, Messina knew how to play the cards. He always knew how to kiss ass from the start. So he got very close to Cicanti, and he would tell me. He's the power. Without him, there's no other. He's the boss of bosses. He used to tell me. Vincent Cicanti, that's what he was. Fed Tony Salerno was put away. He got 100 years. They all got 100 years, and the commission was gone. So the only one who was left was the Cicanti and Joe Messina. But Cicanti couldn't do much because he was under the radar of the feds. They were looking to take him out. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to bring in Anthony. He's there waiting. So I'm going to bring him in, and he could take over because he's anxious. He wants to participate, and I'm going to bring him in. So we're going to welcome Anthony in now. I'm going to put him on, and he could take over. Uh, hello.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Nice
Hello.
to see you all.
Okay, we got new people here. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, a lot of people here. You could take the time, take a look. We got Viembro, we got Montanero, Yasada here, somebody new. I'm the godfather of chocolate. Who gave permission to talk about us mobsters? That's a little funny. So, got more to say. Yasada will get to know you. Welcome to the show. Emmanuel, all our friends. So, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming. These times that my father's speaking of, these are the ones that are the freshest in my mind. These were the times when I was holding court at the restaurant, and my father was more free to do his other things, other activities, go away, meet people, and take my mom out and do those things. So I held court, and some of the names I put there. The older gentleman was Lou Blaze, Dad. Lou Blaze. That was the waiter, the white hair with the rings. Lou. You remember Lou? Do you hear me?
Oh, Lou, that was the waiter, the head guy. Yeah, that worked for, yeah.
Of course
That's
he
what
knows.
I said. I forget.
I know. Lou Blaze.
Lou, I'm getting punctured, Lou.
All right.
Lou
Well,
was a good. Lou was classy.
Yeah, well, let me explain. Lou Blaze was a ladies' man. He was an older guy, but he was what do you call it, gigolo.
Right.
He had all the women, older women. So he was an older gentleman, and they would buy him jewelry. They would pamper him with gifts. He had charisma. He was good looking. He used to go to the dance clubs, the Italian dance shows, where people get together. He would go to Jewish clubs. He liked all the different. Yeah, he was a character, and he was he was a classy guy. Everybody knew Lou Blaze, and he was very good. We also had an older gentleman, Paolo. You remember Paolo?
Yeah.
And Paolo but Paolo used to compete with Lou too, because Paolo had a lot of finesse. He was a man that, maitre d' type of guy, worked in a lot of fancy restaurants. His son, Paulie, also worked in the restaurant with us in the pizzeria. So he would make the pizza with me in the front. So we had two older gentlemen at that time. We had his son working with me. We had my friend Chris. Chris, he gets mad at me because I used to call him Chrissy. I'd be like, "Come on, Chrissy." But I didn't mean it derogatory. He said, "I didn't like you calling me Chrissy." We were talking about it the other night, which I'll get to. But I said, "Chris," that was a term of endearment, Chrissy. I didn't mean it as like calling you a pansy, right? I had my German friend, Kurt Gerbert, right? Big, tall kid, strong. He worked with me in the restaurant. He was, waitering as well, bussing at the time too. Joe Legs was another guy, tall guy. Jay Layla was the English guy from England. So we had a packed house. Back in the day, we had the music blasting, as my father would, like he told you. Smoke would fill the restaurant. It was a beautiful atmosphere. People, every tabletop was covered, and it was just. I wish we could go back to those days, because, we were pumping. That was the good old days. And Chef Gabriella, she would come out, towards the end of the night, after she cooked. People would come. Usually, a lot of people would come at the same time, right? So when she found time to come out, she'd come out, and people would applaud her. So these were times, and like I said, I was getting more autonomy to handle business. I spoke to my father and I said, Dad, we should start opening up late night. We had a 24-hour bagel next door, and all the clubs, everybody would pile out and go to the clubs. So, I also said we should stay Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I would hold command there, till 5 a.m, as I spoke to many times. So with the story that my father's telling you, when Uncle Joe came home, I remember when he was gone for, I think 2 or 3 days. My mother was gone even longer. She stayed behind with the family. And, my father, went to go see Uncle Joe. It was a big whoop-de-doo, right? He was coming home. And, I held court at the restaurant and my father went over there. When my father speaks to about sitting at the table with them and then, just having a conversation or asking for advice, I believe it wholeheartedly. I can't tell you how many times I've sat with bosses in my own work arena, corporate America, which is cutthroat, as I've said. And I've had bosses ask me, advice, ask me, what do you think of this? One time, they were going to hire someone and I said, this is the guy. I checked him out. This kid is going to be good. We should hire him. Okay. They didn't take my advice. This one guy didn't take my advice. And I offered him, I said, this guy's good. I vouch for him. This guy's perfect. 3 months later, they're like, oh, let's go through the interview process. Let's go through, let's go. Let's keep looking. 3 months later, guess who they hired? The guy that I recommended 3 months ago. So what did we do? We lost 3 months time when I knew right away that the guy was good. I mean, that's just one instance, but there's a lot of things where, sometimes the bosses, they become vulnerable. A lot of times they don't show vulnerability. Very, very rare that a boss of any kind is going to show an underman, right, or someone that's under them, any kind of vulnerability. But for some reason, a lot of my bosses showed me vulnerability when it was just one-on-one, but then they would turn and they become whatever they are, right? It's cutthroat bullshit artists. But there's been many a times where I've offered counsel and advice on the business. And I believe what my father's saying, that definitely, when you have a stand-up guy like my father, someone that did his own thing, someone who's been shot, raised his children right, opened up businesses and was successful. And 92, we were peaking. I mean, that was, we were doing some really good business. So why wouldn't someone like that, get some kind of advice, right? So those were wild times for me in the restaurant. I used to stay open, like I said, very late. And it was fun times, but I always had to be on guard. I was tested a lot, more times than not tested. So, and the people that are from the area, they know, there was battleground. It was a battleground, and I've had to come around the counter many times. I got, people come from the neighborhood, outside the neighborhood, and they try to test me. And I, a lot of time my mouth and my eyes and my demeanor, held things at bay before it would get to the next level. But I would just reason with them and say, you're an adult. You are responsible for your actions. So whatever you think you're going to do, you better think twice, because tomorrow's another day. Whether I'm here or not, tomorrow's going to be another day. And I used to say, I used to remind them and say, you think my father is going to leave me here to be eaten by wolves? I said, you don't know who's watching. You don't know who's here. So if I were you, I turn around and leave. So that's sometimes I was able to do it just that way. Sometimes they would escalate and I would have to escalate. Sometimes I'd have to go around the counter, go outside, square hands, guy taking off his shirt. And I would say, I would laugh when a guy takes off his shirt. That, to me, when he would do that, that made me laugh. I'm like, you fucking, what are you trying to do? So, and I would say, you ready? Because I'm telling you, tomorrow is going to be a very bad day with you and your mother inside your house because I'm going to blow it up. Like it's just things like that. But there was a lot of testing going on back there. And then there was the fun times. Girls would come in and they would come from the club. They'd be a little, flirty. They're feeling good. I hang out. My friends that work with me, we congregate. Would say, all right, we're gonna hang out with these girls later, and then the girls would hang. We locked the door at 5 o'clock, and we would hang out, right? Party. If you understand what party means in that regard, we'd hang out, party a little bit, kiss and do other things, right? So all good stuff. Then, there were times where, I love to write. Montanero says he just picked up a guitar. That's awesome. I wish I could have played a guitar, Montanero. I should have picked up an instrument. But as you can see, I have an accent like my father. I can't sing, right? And I can't play an instrument. But I used to love, and I still love, I shouldn't say used to, I still love, I love to write lyrics. So when AI came around and I was able to plug in my lyrics and, choose a genre and this and that, I can make songs. So it's so much fun for me now. So I get to do that. And do things that I wish I could have done when I was little. And when I used to hang out with my friends, we'd be hanging out. They would say, oh, come on, rap. I would rap my songs, sometimes hanging out at night when nobody was around. So it was good times, But, as far as, some of the questions, that I saw, people were asking that, did you know, here, let me see what this person said. Dodo Pastore, you knew him, right? I think you spoke about him before. You listening?
Dudu, talking about
Dudu.
Dudu.
Yeah.
Joe Dudu Pastore.
Yeah. Somebody asked if you knew him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you knew him. Yeah. VM Bro asked that. Do you know Joseph Dudu Pastore? Okay. So you knew.
He's talking about the 70s. Yeah.
Oh boy, with that right. Well, that's where you're from, right? So, my father's been around the block, so to speak. John McCartan, welcome. Do you guys own a cafe on 72nd Street, 18th in Brooklyn? No. We were
family. We got Frank Galina. They got Galina, Johnny Galina. They own the Tiny Carini Social Club. The president of the social club.
Was that the coffee place? That was the cafe that he's talking about in 76. I know they had an auto body. They had an auto body shop too.
Yeah, very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. So John McCartan, if you know the Galina family, they are from Sicily. They lived in the mountains, right? Another town from where my father grew up in Carini, Sicily, right? So right there. So those were good. Okay, let's see. Francis, welcome. So we got some people here. So I wanted to see something, if it's okay with you, Dad. I want to try something. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to see just because why not, right? If it doesn't work, I will close it. But I want to see if I can share my screen. I'm going to try that. All right, Dad?
Go ahead.
All right, let me see. I'm going to see if I can do this. All right, you need to monitor screen share, share screen. Okay. I want to see if I can see. Let me see. I don't know.
Now, What,
I,
what you,
I,
when
I
you
don't
try
want to.
to do that, let me talk.
Sure, sure. Yeah, go
Tell
ahead.
me what do you want to show? Some photos?
Well, so as you know, guys, I went out with my friends last week and we got together and we were reminiscing and I was telling them, about the show. And the funny thing is, they are lurkers. So they said that they've been watching here and there. I said, well, why don't you guys come on? You gotta have balls a little bit, right, to come on to these things. So, but they've been watching. My friend, you know what? Let me finish. You want me to tell this story, or you want me to wait? I was gonna tell them about
No,
Jimmy.
tell the story. Tell the
All right.
story. Go
So,
ahead.
so anyway, we all got together. My brother Angelo was there too because he was very close with Chris, my friend Chrissy. Like I said, Chris. And Chris used to sleep over the house when we were little. Like I know Chris since we're 11, 12 years old. And I used to go to bed because I like my beauty sleep. And my little brother, Angelo, 3 years younger than me, used to love to hang out late with Chris. And they would climb out the window. And my father was talking the other day about who steals the car and who was climbing out the window. It was Angelo because I like to go to bed. I would go to bed. So they would sneak out and they became buddies. So my brother Angelo was at the house. We do this once a year at my friend Chris's house. My friend Dennis, my friend Steve the Greek, Joe Legs. We all get together once a year for sure at Chris's house, and he makes a nice spread. And because he loved to cook, because he learned from my father. He cooks the chicken francese still. He cooks the veal Valentino. He cooks all the stuff that he learned from Gabriella and us. So he's still. He's got the pizza oven too in the back. So he puts on a good spread. We had steak, we had salmon, we had sausage, we had a lot of fun. So what I did was I took some pictures and we were talking. So they said they're lurkers. They come in and they see the show. And the funny thing is, Chris divulged something to me that I never knew. So Jimmy the Freak is what we called him. Jimmy the Freak was one of the guys that my father had with us. And my father put him up, set him shop in the basement. So he was like I wouldn't say he was as bright as Tom Hagen, but he was somebody that we brought in, to the family. And we gave him an apartment in the basement. He was, early 20s, 23, 24, 25. He was living in an apartment behind the bagel store. He was, think about it. You're living behind a bagel store, right? But he was a nice guy, German guy, and he used to be friends with us. And actually, the chef was friends with his father from way back, and she vouched for him too. So my father brought him on, and my father set him up in our house, and he lived in the basement. And my father gave him a job, got him, he was taking the action for him, and he became a big member of the family. So much that he started doing well. He bought an IROC Z, blue IROC Z with the roof off, the convertible. You take both sides off. He was doing very well. So I knew that my friends, they liked Jimmy the Freak. He had a pool table downstairs. He had the bar, but he was old to us. He was an older guy when we were 15, 16 years old, right? But my friends would cut school and they go bang on the window and they go to see Jimmy the Freak. And Jimmy the Freak would take him to the track and they would hang out. Chris, Kurt. Chris and Kurt were older than me. They were a year older than me, but they became friends with all my friends. So, we got close. They were very to themselves. Chris had his own crew, meaning like he hung out with his, with a couple other guys, but they were, they did their own thing. But when I came along and I became friends with Chris because he lived around the corner and we became really friends, my friends became his friends. And that, and Chris started working in the restaurant. And so Chris grew in stature, so to speak, and he was like brother. But So I knew that he was knocking on the window, going to the track. I'd be like, "You're fucking nuts." My father finds out, he's going to kill you guys. But they would do it. So I didn't know that Chris tells me the other day that he even went to the office, where they were taking the action. And Jimmy used to let him go in there. And Chris was hiding in the closet many times when you came in. And he said sometimes you were, fighting with Jimmy. You were going to rip his head off about something or whatever. And he said he was shitting in the closet. He was like, holy shit. And he was shitting anyway because he thought you were going to catch him. So, Chris used to sit there and learn the book, learn how to take the action. I didn't know this. He just told me this the other day. So, then he was telling me how he used to go, my father in the restaurant downstairs in the basement, we had, I'd say about 8 steel doors lined up. So 8 steel doors that are off the hinges. They're just against the wall. So why do you think they were against the wall? Steel doors. I'll tell you why. Because my father would do shooting down there. That was his shooting range in the freaking basement of the pizzeria. So we'd be upstairs, and then late at night you'd hear a whipping sound, like all this noise. But it was him firing his gun, and the gun was so strong that it would penetrate all the steel doors and also hit the brick, the stone on the wall. So, Chris was telling me how, he used to go and look at the gun because he used to hide it in the ceiling. And me, like a jerk, I told him. So, he said, oh, your father had a gun, really big gun, and blah, blah. So I used to shoot it. So anyway, what do you say about that, Dad? Where Chris used to hide out in the office when Jimmy was taking the action? What would you have done to him if you caught him?
What was he gonna do? Smack him?
You
What
probably,
else would he do?
I don't know. You probably would have put him to work, knowing you.
But, well, he was working. He was taking. He was a runner.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, when I'm talking about when we were 14, 15. Yeah, we were. He was. He started.
I used to smack him on the forehead.
Yeah.
Telling them, put some fucking brain in there.
Yeah.
And now look what he is, right? He's a stockbroker, right?
So let me tell you about Chris. Okay, I don't know if he'd be happy, but for Chris is with me. So Chris, when he got older, we're talking about 17, 16, 17. Yes, he started running sheets, running numbers for us. He was on the book and he had players. When Chris left the restaurant, I believe it was 17, 18 years old, he started getting into the stockbrokering. So he worked at a stockbroking firm.
A lot of the kids started that. They were,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this was back when the Wolf of Wall Street. Right. He was working in one of the chop shops that got, they made the movie, the place where he worked, they made the movie Boiler Room. You remember Boiler Room?
Yeah.
With Giovanni Ribisi, great actor. But anyway, the Boiler Room, that movie, Chris worked in that firm when that was all going down. So, Chris was a knockaround guy, and those guys were partying and they were making a lot of money, and he had them all on a sheet, and Chris was making 25 cents on a dollar on all the bets. So there was times where one time, and I think I told the story where somebody didn't pay, and we had to go down to the place in Rockville Center where this guy was working, and we had to grab him. Chris was on the sheet. He was going to be responsible, but because he's a dear friend of mine, my father said, all right, let's go collect ourselves. So we went down there and we made a deal with the guy, and he paid up. So, Dad, you're a little dark. You're lighting. Yeah, I saw you move the lights better like that. Okay.
He's gonna blind me. I don't know.
So, Yeah, great movie, Francis. That Boiler Room, right? So Chris, so you know, another thing, um, we're very close, right? So close that I had, he married a Croatian girl and I married a Croatian girl. I
Two
told
different.
him, I told him, don't do it. No, I'm kidding. But he did. And not only that, he's now running his own branch for a big firm. He does very well. And he was also on season 2 of The Apprentice with Donald Trump. So he was on the show. Okay. So he got screwed over because the goal was to sell wedding dresses against somebody that sells wedding dresses. He feels that he was set up because he had no college, he was uneducated, and he felt like they didn't want him to make it. He still holds a grudge against Trump because of that show, but yeah, So these are the friends I had. Dennis, Dennis. We were talking about a time where we were at this guy's house, Bobby Fader's house, who is a DJ now, still, Bobby Fader, and we were at a house party. We're like 17. I think we were still in high school, 16, 17. And I told everybody we had gangs. We had fraternities in the high school. Even the guy, I believe, Twisted Sister, what's his name? Dean Snyder. Dean Snyder wrote a book about the frats in the West Hempstead high schools and stuff like that. It was crazy. They were like gangs. You couldn't work certain halls or you get into it. So one night there was a big party. My friend Dennis, okay, he's a maniac. Anybody who knows Dennis Muya knows, this guy he knows everybody and everybody knows him. And he's a fighter. He's tough. He's good-hearted. So that's one of my boys too. And we were at the party, and the brawl breaks out, and we're all tussling. I'm trying to help, and somebody stabbed him in the shoulder with a small blade. Boom. I fucking saw it. I grabbed him. I said, dude, you got a knife in your back. So he's crazy. He pulls it out. I'm like, dude, whatever. But I'm just saying that's he was a fighting guy. He was wild. All these gangs were wild. And I told the story that when I was, and Dennis and all these guys could tell, I went down for the fraternity, but I was a string bean. I was 12 years old, 13 years old. And these seniors were beating the shit out of me. They punched me, whatever. I blew my eardrum. So, they were going to put me, they said, they didn't want to keep doing it because I got really hurt. They were hitting me with the paddle, all that shit. Everybody goes through it. But I got hit. I got punched by a guy that was 18 years old, big guy. I told this story once. I was going down. They called it Hell Night. And he stands there like this, and you tap on his arm, and then somebody gets ding, and then you slap him in the face like a typewriter. That's what they called it, the typewriter. So now this guy was huge, 18 years old, 19 years old. I was 13, string bean, right? So now I do the typewriter with him. Now he turns around. He's got to go like this, and I got to do, and then he does it, and then somebody goes ding, and then he punches you. Well, he fucking smacked me whole hand, but he hit me in the ear. I fell down. I blew my eardrum. All I heard was a ringing. I couldn't hear anything. They saw that I was laid out. I got hit hard. So they were like, listen, we're going to put you on probation. You're not going to go through a hell night. You're in. We're going to put you, you're going to, hang out a couple of weeks, just we'll put you on probation. So I was fucking angry. I was very angry. So I slept at my friend Dennis's house, and he's like, don't worry, bro. You're going to be, you're in, the fucking guy, he did that to somebody else. Don't worry about it. Blah, 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 blah. So I was very angry. So I told my father what happened, and my father fucking flipped out. He goes, this is not how I raise you. You are your own man. You don't need to be with them. You're with them anyway. So why would you want to be with them? You be your own man. This is a true story. And my friends will tell you this is a true story. So every fraternity, every gang had a crest. You had Omega Gamma Delta, and they had a crest. They had a tree, a hand, what inside the crest. Everything meant something. Then you had Alpha Sigma Phi, which was the guys that they fight with. They had a crest. So every Alpha Nu Theta, all of them, the Knights, they all had crests. So I created a crest for the restaurant. Remember this thing right here. So this is the crest that we had. You saw my father's business card. This was the crest I created. So you know what my father did? So he finds out what all this happens. So one day I come home and he gives me a jacket, and on the back of the jacket is the crest. And then over here it said boss. And he goes, "That's your gang. So they could all wear their crest, but you're going to wear your crest." I was in 7th grade. And I went to school. I was proud. And I wore my crest. And my friends were like, "What's that?" I said, "I'm not in no gang. I'm not doing anything. I'm with you guys, but I'm solo. This is my gang. My father's family, my restaurant." And they all, they laughed, but they accepted it. I got into many, many fights with those guys. And all the guys that were in the other gang, right? The Alpha Sigma Phi guys that we used to fight, they thought I was undercover. They thought that I was in Omega Gamma Delta. They thought that I was hiding it. They thought I was like, because when you wore colors in school, you would wear them, because in school you could get in trouble. So you wear them under a shirt. So sometimes I'd be walking and I'm getting into a fight. Some guy pulled me, goes, "I know you got your colors." I'm like, "Dude, I'm not in this fucking thing." So they, for all of them through the years, thought I was in Omega Gamma Delta because I fought with these guys. I would walk with the Omega guys. I'd hang with the Omega guys. I just was not in it. So how funny is how history repeats itself, where my father was with them, associated with them, but he wasn't in it. It's the same fucking thing, right? It's pretty fucking wild, but that is the truth. And I got into the same fights with them. There were people trying to jump us. I did get jumped once. I told you the story at the schoolyard. And then the cops came, remember? And I squared off. I called out the toughest guy. There was like 30 guys. They were all coming out of the van, the cars, and they all wanted to fight and square off. They were going to jump me. So the only thing I could do was say, "Who's the toughest guy here? I'll fight the president. I'll fight the toughest guy here, because if I beat his ass, that means I could beat all your asses." Like that's how I felt. If I could beat him, I could beat any one of you one-on-one. So let me fight the toughest guy. So we were ready to square off. The guy's taking out a stick and this and that. And then the cops came, thank goodness, because I would have got pummeled. It was 30 kids worse than me. And I had one guy with me, and he was a civilian, complete civilian, John Liebler from Cary, Franklin Square. He was just hanging around with me. And poor kid was terrified, but he couldn't believe how I handled myself and how we got out of there, And, Chris told me the other day too, he said he ran into someone from Valley Stream that remembers the fight I had at Gibson Station when I went down there by myself. I wasn't from Valley Stream, and I had to fight there. And the guy said, "I remember your friend Anthony. He was crazy, because I went there. I remember that." So listen, I'm not trying to brag on myself. I'm just saying, things that happen in my childhood and the friends. So let me see if we have any comments here. So the bottom line is, to bring it back around, I had put some pictures together. So I wanted to show you guys some of the pictures, and then I also wanted to show you my song, one of the songs that
Why don't you try to put up the picture?
I don't know why. I think I need Bambi's help for this, because I'm doing it. I went over here and it says, hold on. I'm trying to show it. I hit share, and then I say hit share screen, slides and PDFs. Let me see. It doesn't say your computer. I don't want to fuck up anything. I got to practice this. And I apologize, guys. I'll get it right. I gotta see how to do that. I don't want to ruin the show trying to find pictures, but we'll do it. We'll do it. Let me see. David Lopez, how are you, my friend? Nice to see you. You want to hit on anything, Dad, while I read through this and see if anything we touch on here?
Well, I'm like lost now. You've been telling the different.
No, okay. So listen, I didn't mean to take you off your track. We're talking about Joe, Uncle Joe, and Sal.
That's
you
it.
went to the Hamptons.
Right.
So Uncle Joe and Uncle Sal at that time, people. I mean, I hope you understand. Okay, they were the most powerful figures, right? Other than Gigante, right? The Chin at that time. Okay, but
yeah, but he was playing nerd.
I was just trying to get to that. Yeah. So, the real tough guys were those two guys. And I mean, if you think about it, who after them, you don't even know the people. Like, Dom Chicali talks about the nose, right? These are just names. These are
Dom Chicali, they were there doing back. They were there. Dom Chicali, he was with Nick Santora.
Okay, but
he's talking about what Dom Chicali talks about is the guys that were always down, that they started coming up after Sonny Black, after Nick Santora, Camaroni. They were all there. I used to see them all the time. So that's what he knows, Dom Chicali. Those guys went on the bottom of the barrel back in the 90s. They were, the newcomers. They were.
No, I understand. I understand that.
Well, in the year 2000, 2010, 2015, after Nick Santora got put away, they came up.
I understand.
So that's what he knows, and that's what they talk about. We're talking about from the 70s to the whole 2003. After
that's what I'm saying.
Everything fell apart.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then they show the colors. They started riding. Somebody here earlier said, "Do you know Copa?"
Oh yeah. Well, I met Copa and Basciano, and all on the same night. We were all together at Casablanca. When I sat down with Uncle Joe, I told this story. We were talking about, we had a sit down for my wedding, and the catering hall owner was asked to come because we had to work it out. And that particular night, Basciano was there. He was at another table with his girl, probably his wife. Copa was there with his wife. They were all at different tables. I was at the head table, along the rail in the front there. Lou Restivo was there. Ali Boy was there. Al. I think it's Ali Boy. You call him Al, the guy that was at the restaurant. He was there. So I was introduced. I don't know. I got to go back, and look at my wedding book. I don't have it. My ex-wife has it, but I had a lot of people at my wedding that my Uncle Joe told me to invite. We asked him if he wanted some tables, and he did. So I had quite a few people at my wedding. I know Rich Cantarella was there. Uncle Sal was there, obviously. Uncle Joe was there. All the post guys were there. These guys were captains, so they were all there. Guys, a lot of guys. A lot of people were at my wedding. And like
Manuel,
I said,
1 minute. I want to answer Manuel. Manuel, I don't know about Nick Santora owning a steakhouse in Bayshore, Long Island. I don't know. He was a Brooklyn guy. So I don't know if Nick Santora came to Long Island. I don't know. Unless somebody else on his group, right away they give the title to somebody else. Like my restaurant Emmanuel, Amici restaurant was mine, owned by me. They thought that was Domicino was involved. He owned Amici restaurant. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scene that people talk and gossip. Nixon thought he was a street guy, Brooklyn guy. I don't think he ever came to Long Island. Not in 2006 when I was there. Then I came to Florida. So I don't know if you're talking about after that, Emmanuel. What year you talking about? Is the steakhouse in Bay Shore, Long Island? It couldn't be before that. 2006, definitely not. Anything after that, I don't know. I left, I came to Florida. So that's my answer. So if you could tell me what year you're talking about, Manuel. Okay, listen to Carmine talk. Listen. Read this one, Anthony.
It's not they weren't big at the time. The Bonannos did whatever they wanted because they were on the commission. The Bonannos killed more people than any other family. Okay. So
Right.
look, yeah. So what I'm saying is I can't attest to the guys after my uncle, they were gone. After
Right.
2000, after 2004, I was very close with my uncle, but then after 2004, then it was like Enderico, like whatever contacts, connects that I was very tight with. Everybody fucking flipped. Everybody. So,
Cantarella, tell him how close you were with Cantarella.
yeah, I mean, Richie Cantarella, I met him on Cross Bay Boulevard back in 1998, 97. My uncle set up a meeting with him. I had to go meet him because he was setting me up at the Post. But he was the guy that was basically the broker to get me at the New York Post, and we met up, and then he took me there. I met the guys. I had to go get my CDL, and then I forget about it. When I got Richie Cantarella was at my wedding, but it was I don't want to skip your show, Dad, and go ahead because when you talk about
No,
90,
it's okay. It's okay.
okay,
We're making a foundation. What's
okay,
going on from the 70s all the way out to 2004,
yeah,
when we were the most powerful family in New York.
yeah.
You
So
know,
so
till
I
Uncle
understand.
Joe became a fucking rat.
Yeah.
But
So
go ahead.
what I'm saying is like the years that my father was opening the show with, the early 90s, those were the years where I was young. I was 16, 17, 18, right? So I'm just getting in the groove. I saw a lot of people, but my mind I was in the restaurant. I was entrenched in the restaurant. I was holding court there. Whatever action I had on a sheet, whatever my guys had on a sheet, whoever was playing cards, in the basement, whatever casino nights were running and everything like that. I had, I knew about all that, but and then whatever wars were coming to me. The wars were coming to me at the restaurant because people were coming around testing me. There were people coming from Brooklyn, Queens. I didn't know who the fuck they were, and I had it out with them sometimes, but it never escalated to anything because if they asked around, they probably were told, stay away from there, don't fuck around. So nobody ever, we never got to that level. So, but when you talk to me about 1997, 98, all the way up to 2004, these are the heavy hitters that I was with. Frank Copa, I met him. He was not a very charming man. Okay, he didn't. I felt that he didn't. When I was introduced to him, he wasn't. Bubbly. Oh yeah, how you doing? Nah, yeah, nice to meet you. Like that. Then he was like, "Hey, nice to meet you." He was a little, more flamboyant, very nice. But the guy
What do you think about Louis Restivo?
Louis Stevo, I told him right off the bat. I said, Lou, I said, my father loves you. You are a man that he always talked about to me, a man of honor. I said to him, I said, I'm close with Vinny Restivo, his son. I see him around sometimes. I mean, I'm not like close hanging out with him, but I mean, Vinny Restivo, we picked them up in Middle Village about a half a year ago, right? 6 months, 7 months ago. I was with my friend Gaspari, and he goes, "Oh, I got to pick up my friend Vinny." He gets in the car. I go, "I know Vinny. We know each other." So anyway, I told Vinny about his father. Vinny Restivo
Okay,
was
listen to this guy.
well,
Come on. I don't know Santora, which is Santora, Nicky Cigar Santora went to prison. He didn't get killed. So I don't know where'd you get that Santora was killed by Dom Chicali. I don't know. Maybe you got it mixed up with a different person. Nicky Cigar Santora went to prison. He was above, what is it, the nose? What's his name? The nose?
Mancuso.
Mancuso, the nose.
Yeah.
Santoro was almost the boss in the Bonanno family. So Dam Chicali didn't kill no Nick Cigar Santora. Nicky Santora Cigar went to prison. He was under Sonny Black and Napolitano. So I don't know where'd you get that from. Okay.
So,
So now let me see. Come on, forget about Scapi. He was a brutal. They, Montenegro, there were a lot of brutal guys, in the streets. One could be more than the other because they get exposed, by journalism. So, but there was a lot of guys out there that were really killers. They love to kill. The more people they want to kill. Semi the Bull is bragging it today, right? How many people killed? But he also killed family members of his own, wife, right? He killed a kid by mistake. So yeah, there was a lot of them like that they wanted to put a what do you call under the belt scores that they kill people. They become immune to it. They like killing. Like serial killer. They don't have to be in the mafia. There's a lot of people that like that to kill, period. So there's a lot of people that were bad. So anybody who talks about how tough they are, there's always somebody tougher. Always was, and they're always gonna be. So there's always been a lot of tough guys in the street, and they made a living by getting that reputation being a killer. Tommy Karate, for instance, right? Tommy Karate. I mean, he killed people for robbing them drugs, right? How many guys did he kill? Wise guys. I mean, I don't know. There's not too much around that they talk about, killing tough guy like John Gotti killed Paul Castellano. I mean, he whacked out a boss. Now these days, they're like John Gotti was nobody. It was just like a, how do you say, a wannabe. Now they knock down the whole fucking family. I don't know anything. The only thing I knew, Gene Gotti, was a tough guy too. He was like his brother. They talk bad about Peter being a nobody, piece of shit. That's not true. Peter Gotti, he was a tough guy too because you work in the sanitation. What does it mean? It doesn't mean nothing because you work in sanitation. A lot of Joe Bonanno worked delivering bread when he was young. Same thing. Carlo Gambino worked in the fucking butcher. I work in a pizzeria. So Joe Messino, they call him Joe Wagon, because he was like a gypsy with the roach wagon. So a lot of people, they had a regular job, and they did other things at night when they went out and make scores and the business. So they say Peter Gotti was a garbage man. Yeah, I thought that's so true when I was young. But then Peter Gotti was sitting down with the bosses. It was not John Junior Gotti. Peter Gotti was supervising John Jr. because he was a fucking, what was he? A wannabe. That's what he was. So, he also got into trouble, fighting. He surrounded himself like my son is talking about all his friends in the gang, right? That's what John Jr. did. But who protected him? It was a Peter Gotti who protected him, kept him online. No matter about they had a family quarrels about money, about power. As time went on, it was Peter Gotti who held everything together for John Gotti. Now that these days they told me he's a piece of, he was a nobody, a garbage man. So all these fucking guys today, they talk about the old timers of being nobody. And they're not, that's not true. The people today, they're nobody. They just talk how tough they are. Everybody talk is cheap. It's cheap. Everybody can make up stories and say shit. And that's what's going on a lot in the podcast these days. There's a lot of talk, a lot of bullshit. I did this, I did that, I killed this, I went to rob over there. But you're not going to get that from me because I didn't have to do that. I ran restaurant. I ran, bookmaking. I ran the Sherlock. I dealt with the drugs. So if you could do that all these years, okay, you can be a punk. You can be a nobody, and all that statue, in the street, and people respect you and fear you, right? So everybody who barks is like a dog that barks, and they don't bite. A dog that barks and don't fucking bite. You ever heard that expression before? So the dog that greens, those are the guys you gotta watch. Those are the dogs gonna bite you. So in any kind of animal, that's what it is. An animal who's a killer, he does not bark. He just hunts and attacks when he needs to, not talk and bark. Those are cheap talk. So they could talk all they want. None of them impress me. All these guys out there, they're barking and talking. They know themselves. They're just fucking barking and talk, creating bullshit. And a lot of people like to hear that. Like I always said, everybody likes the what was it? Halloween 13. What was that guy's name? James?
What are you talking about?
Halloween. Jason.
Michael Myers and Jason.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, they love to hear the guy always came back to life.
Yeah.
No matter how many times they shot him, he came back to life. They got burned, he got back to life. And this is what's going on right now in the podcast.
Yeah, it's
no
crazy.
Bullshit they give, the following grows bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And they get thousands of people and it's just it's unbelievable. Look, we're here with good people.
Soap opera.
Yeah, soap opera. Right.
Soap-
Everybody's looking to see, what's going to happen. Look,
I
you got,
was, I was, grew up, dealt with a lot of these killers. Wise guy, Nick Santoro, Sonny Black Napolitano. A lot of bad people. I haven't met even Patera there. Tommy Patera. I met them all. They didn't look. I mean, if they were killers. They were killers because they like to kill. That's it. But they don't. They didn't have a fucking brain. If they had a brain, they would have become somebody like a boss, underboss, like a lot of them came, right?
yeah,
Now, so Nicky Santoro ended up becoming a boss too, right? But he was underlink. A lot of people were underlink. They didn't go out and make a lot of killings like all these guys. They talk about killing. Nick Santoro did a lot of business, bookmaking. That was a big thing. So everybody had a different things. But a killer's a killer. People that like to kill, and they end up in prison or they end up dead. So they never got it. Besides becoming a soldier, then they get a acting captain. It's all bullshit. They were still soldiers doing dirty work, and that's all you were known for. And a lot of people in this podcast, that's all they were, and they talk. They never became something. Nobody. Even Michael Franchese, what he became, he was around for 10 years, because his father protected him, and then in '86 he left. He left the life, and now he's the biggest thing in podcasts. Semi the Bull, he committed murder. He became the biggest run ever, right? He's making a lot of money in podcasts. He's telling stories. Or how he set up this, he set up that. He was no leader. Now he's saying that he arranged him. He talks about he organized all the hits. He even organized the hit on Paul Castellano. Is it true? Everybody, who's there to confront them? They're all gone. So who's going to confront them? So he could say everything he wants to say, and people listen. And that's my story. But I was there from the '70s all the way 2006 when I came to Florida. Okay, never left, never went to hide out, never, I did my thing. I took my blows, and I stood strong. And now I'm telling my story, and then maybe it's going to penetrate little by little to people's brain. I don't know if we're ever going to penetrate, but I'm here saying that I said with the kings of the mafia of, from the '70s moving up to 2004, and everything went to shit. So whatever's there, it's crumbs. Everything is crumbs. And that's what it is, all crumbs. There's nothing there. It was gone. I believe everything was gone when Joe Messino flipped, and he gave up a lot of people. I mean,
Yep.
Tali, they destroyed. Semi the Bull was the first one in '92, I believe. And little by little, everybody got wiped out. I think they were protecting Joe Messino, the feds, because I think he turned while he was in prison because he wanted to take over the Bonanno crime family. The only obstacle he had was Anthony Spiro, that controlled the family with Salvatore. Salvatore was the killer for him. If you see my top nail, It shows you Salvatore the gun. Joe Messino has the dagger to stab people in the back. And I have a drink in front of me. We're sitting in the same fucking table. And that's the difference between me with them. Okay? And I'm laughing because they were using all the muscles. Meanwhile, I was making money. And I didn't have no fucking headache. But Joe Messino didn't like that. So he wanted to attack. And I got hit with from the feds attacking me in the cell tax, checking my books, everything. And that's another story. They try to put me away. In early years, in my 20s, they tried to kill me. That didn't happen. Sabatali used to say, even the fucking bullets can kill you. He used to always said that to me. Even bullets can kill you. And I was supposed to laugh at that, right? Meanwhile, they knew, yes, I survived. And I was around my kids. I'm around my grandchildren. How much that's worth? How much?
Dad, you said a lot there. That was powerful, guys. I mean, if you really think about it, he's right what he said. What's left? The crumbs, right? That's why he said 2004.
That was the end. That was the end.
I mean, when the boss flipped, let me tell you something. When they were making bosses, they were changing like underwear. Every other day there was a new boss. First it was Tony, then it was this guy, then it was that guy, then they went so. Then Vinny got he got it. He just got screwed because he was having a conversation about whacking a judge, right? When he was running things. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was all over. Funny thing, there's so many stories that are popping in my head that yeah, I know. I just don't want to blow it all up in one show, but
no, we got time.
All right. So a funny thing, everybody knows that I'm in the wine business, wine and spirit business, right?
Okay, let me answer Carmine. Messina and Gotti were not childhood friends. This was fabricated by the news reporters. They just met later on, in Maspet, and they were from two different neighborhoods. Joe Messino was always from Maspet, and John Gotti was from a different area. Then he came to live in Ozone Park, I believe, and that's how they met. Because he was hooked up with, I believe, Captain Carmine Fratico, and he was friends with Rossi Rastelli, and that's how they got hooked up when J.J. Deli opened up for the lunch wagon. They started doing a lot of action with selling goods, swags. They started connecting, with the lotto, the street lotto, edging off bats, bookmaking. That's how they became friends. So they were not childhood friends, Carmine. This is all the media. They bring all that out. Go ahead, Anthony. You could talk. Let me see any other.
Because some of the guys think on here that they were childhood friends. Even Burgundy, what's up, Burgundy, my man? Even he thinks, but that's because what the media is feeding you, the propaganda.
That's right.
So it's the same thing. I mean, you hear enough bullshit, eventually you kind of like.
Then it goes on. It builds up. It builds up.
So it's all bullshit. So what you're getting
at the end, Carmine, John Gotti was going to take out Joe Messino out because he wanted to take control of the family. He wanted Sabatali to be the boss, okay? And Joe Messino got the wind of it, that was going to happen. So that's why he demoted Sabatali. He put him on the fucking shelf. and John Gotti went to prison a month apart. So, that's what happened. If they were not child friends, it was business, and they always control. Joe Messino had the dagger. That's why I gave him the dagger. Sabatali's got the gun because Sabatali who did the shooting, and Joe Messino did the stabbing from the back. He never came up in front of you and stabbed you. Paulie's here. Did you say hello to Paulie?
Of course, I said to Paul, I said hello. I said hello to Paulie. Yes. So, I want to. All right. I don't want to jump all over the place, but I gotta say it. Okay. When I got close to my Uncle Joe, okay.
Okay, 1 minute. Giacomo says Frank Santoro was killed by Cicali. So it wasn't not Nicky Cigar Santoro. It's a different guy, right, Giacomo? So we're talking about Nicky Cigar Santoro. I don't know Frank Santoro. There's people too with less name Amato. There's a lot of Vitalis. There's Amato, right? Baldo Amato. He's not related to me. So, I mean, maybe long distance. So there's a lot of people with the same last name.
Oh.
Frank Santoro is not Nicky Cigar Santoro. So let's get that straight. So he didn't kill no Nick Cigar Santoro. Big Jack and Anthony.
All right. So let me say this, okay? I want to answer. First of all, how you doing, Paulie? I said hello in the chat to him, but dude, welcome. Nice to see you. This will kick it off. Burgundy said Messino could have gone down as a legend. Unfortunately, he did what he did. So let me tell you, Burgundy. This opens up the, like I said, I'm trying to keep on course here. We might repeat ourselves as we do more shows. My father, when I got close to my Uncle Joe, all right, for 4 or 5 years, my father said, look around who he's got around him. Keep a good eye on the type of people he's got around him. They're fucking paper. This is what he used to tell me. He goes, they're all yes men. They're all yes men. This is what he used to tell me. So I could attest to that. When he shelved my Uncle Sal, my Uncle Joe, it's because, like my father said, he was the guy, the gun, the shooter, the guy with the, the brains, but also he was powerful. Uncle Joe didn't like that. Why would he have shelved his brother-in-law? If he shelved him, you should have killed him, right? So right there alone, shows that he had not too big balls. And then I'm going to tell you another story, okay? When I got married, you know where I lived? Dad, you remember where I lived? When I got married, my first place when I got married? You don't remember. I'm not going to, okay. So I was with the Messino family, okay? I was living in a place that, I don't want to say names, okay? But the bottom line is, okay, I was living in the roof with family, okay? Now, there was a situation where, let me ask you, the public, okay, if you were the man's man and everybody knows who you are, and your daughter's husband was having an affair with somebody in the school that your kids went to, that your grandchildren went to, or whatever, and you were the most powerful guy, how does that look? How does that look when you let your daughter, right? When your daughter is being screwed over, right? So let me tell you a story. One time I woke up the next morning. I was living in this house where somebody else was also, okay, because it was different parts of the house, meaning separate quarters. My fucking car was on stilts, on blocks. The wheels, they took off the wheels, Dad, of my my car. They didn't know it was my car. They thought it was somebody else's car, and they were sending a message. Okay, and then the cops came, blah, blah, blah. My point is, this was his way of sending a message to somebody that was doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? Stealing the wheels off the car. What I'm trying to say, folks, is bottom line is, as big as my Uncle Joe was, he didn't have big balls because he was who he was, but the people around him, you saw what they did. They all flipped. It's like any fucking corporate America that has all the yes men and robots answering yes, 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 right? What good is getting yes, yes, yes when you're not getting the good advice and the good counsel to be strong and to have a strong unit? You're as weak as you're the weakest link, right? So what I'm saying is, from my observation, I didn't see too many strong guys that I thought I was going to see. Yeah, they were tough guys. Yeah, they had reputation. Yeah, they were respectful. But I didn't feel that they were, honorable, They were like figs, some of them, sitting on the heat lamps, doing no-show jobs with the fucking paper. They were too busy trying to look so sexy, looking good, right? So I'm telling you that, they were fortunate. I think Uncle Joe was fortunate that he lasted that long because he was not a leader that, that he needed to be. My Uncle Sal, I think he lasted much longer because when Uncle Joe was gone, he was the one that was organizing and putting things together and coming up with new ideas.
Also, Savatali was in the street from the 70s to 2004. Nobody took a shot at him, right? Nobody took a shot at him or tried to kill him with all the killings he was doing. And he went to prison a little time in Rikers Island, and that was it. And so he had to have a fucking brain to sustain and run the power in the Bonanno crime family while Rossi Rostelli was in prison, okay, and Joe Messina was in prison. Rossi Rostelli died in 1991. So Rossi Rostelli died in 1991. Savatali was the one to appoint Joe Messina as the head of the Bonanno crime family. He gave him all the fucking support.
Yeah.
And he fucked Sal.
And then everybody wants to point the finger. And everybody wants to
look at Sal. And I looked at Sal and said, you fucking deserve that. Because you kissed his ass all your fucking life. Right? And that was happening in your wedding when we had the wedding, 2001.
Yep.
Leonard's and Grand Neck. Everybody was there, all the wise guys.
Yeah.
Rich Cantarella, Amico, Tony D'Amico. Everybody was there, right?
You see, he's naming the names. He's naming the names.
And Savatali felt like shit because nobody really was giving him any praise. And he was hurt. I felt bad for him because he had nowhere to go. Yeah. He had no more John Gotti. John Gotti was gone. Everybody was gone. He had nobody to go.
But that was Uncle Joe's downfall. He should have never put him on the shelf.
That's why they all betrayed him. That's what they say. You fuck your own brother-in-law. You take my money. He was taking a lot of money from Rich Cantarella. He was taking a lot of money from Frank Coppa. He was fucking taking everybody's money. He demoted James Tattaglione. He demoted him to shit too. He wasn't giving them nothing.
I know.
James Tattaglione was from the beginning. Lou Restivo, he put him on the fucking shelf too.
That's what I'm saying. Paul. That's why Paul's saying no chance Sal would make a move on Joe because Sal was loyal. Before he knew what happened, he got slapped. It was too late. but his loyalty got the best of him, But this is facts, and this is the shit that went on. And I'm telling you, Richie Cantorella, the reason these guys, Richie Cantorella, he was a money guy. The fucking guy had all the parking lots in Manhattan, all of them. He was loaded. He didn't need
millionaire.
He didn't need to be in the mob. He didn't
Frank
need to.
Coppola too. Frank Coppola too. And the fucking Richie Cantarella took in his son.
Yes.
His fucking son. Because he was not a tough guy.
No, that's what I'm saying. They were paper leaders. You heard of paper leaders. Why did I say paper? Paper
leaders. They want to make money.
Paper leaders. You could rip them up. Paper leaders. There's so many paper leaders everywhere. Corporate America more than ever, because right now they all try to stay on top because they don't want to be pushed out. Because right now all upper management getting pushed around, pushed out. Right? So what do? You bring yes men, people that suck you like a bottle. That way you can stay on top. That's the only way they survive. They don't put strong people with them. They don't put strong people because they're stupid. The strong people are the best loyal people you can have around you. But they think that they're going to be better served to have the weak around them so they can control. So it's just, this is what happened. So I'm going to say one more thing, okay? Like I said, I could keep going and going. There's so many stories. I knew when my uncle got busted, and he was still, and he was in jail. It was 2003-ish, 4, okay? He was in jail. He was still the boss, right? This was before the wiring came out, that he was wearing a wire. I got sent for. I didn't tell my father at this moment. I got sent for to go to Little Italy on Mulberry Street. Okay, I forgot the restaurant, wherever. I know who I met. I'm not going to talk because I don't know where the guy is now. But the guy called to meet me. So I knew him. So I said, okay, I'm going to go, So I went over there, and I meet him at the place, and we sit down, and he goes, take out your phone. I'm like, take out my phone. So I take out my phone. He goes, take out the battery. He goes, give me the phone. He takes out the battery, takes it apart, puts it down. And he goes, okay, you got to give us $10,000 to stay at the post. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, well, if you want to stay at the post, you got to give me $10,000, and then you stay at the post. So I said, okay, all right, no problem. All right. So I left, right? Okay, no problem. But I tell my father. He fucking says, that's it, done. He goes, I that was my job. I was making a great living there. And he said, give me the guy's number. So, and this guy was a big guy at the time. This guy is, he was a big guy there. So my father calls him up, gets him on the phone. He goes, blah, blah. He goes, my son is with me. My son Anthony is with me. He's not with you. He's done. So you do what you got to do. We're going to do what we got to do. That's it. Okay? Like that. Okay? He's done. And he hung up. And we never heard from the guy again. And I never went back to the post after that either. But the point is, that's how much power my Uncle Joe had at that time, right? What happened? Once the cat was away, the mice will play. Everybody started making their move. They didn't want to take care of me no more, right? So they tried to hustle me for 10 grand at the end. You remember that, Dad?
Okay. Yes, I remember. Okay. Salvatore Montagna, Manuel, he came in, he was a Sicilian guy from Canada. They were trying to, create something like Anthony just mentioned earlier. Everybody was in chaos, who was becoming a boss, they're moving up. And, the feds sent them back to Canada. They deported them. So, and over there they killed him, and that's the end of the story with Salvatore Montagna. I didn't know too much about him. He was a young guy. He was not old, and that's what it is, living in the life. There's always new guys coming up, being sponsored by other guys, and they can't carry themselves. They're not smart enough, and they get themselves killed. And that's what happened with Salvatore Montagna. Next, Jack Amato say, Dom Cicali is no man of honor or respect. He robbed his own grandmother. I don't know about that. I don't know. Personal life, I don't know. The only thing I know is the street life. Who's who, who's what was what. Dom Cicali got made in I don't know, when did he get made? I don't know, in 2000. So everything was going to shit. They were making, because I think Vinny Basciano was recruiting a lot of tough guys from the street. And I was hearing it too from Tommy Green also used to tell me this fucking guy's recruiting a lot of people, a lot of wannabes. He's degrading everything. But really, Vinny Basciano and Tony Green Herschel were in competition because who was going to be anointed, as a underboss. Underboss, because Salvatore was on the shelf. So that's what they were fighting for. So these guys by Martin Vinny Basciano, Vino Basciano is by Martin Tony Green Urso. So it's all like it's a family business. It's a family matter. Is it?
So, wait a minute. I saw somebody here new. Oh, where was he? Anyway, I saw somebody new said something about, I don't know what they mean by that. I wanted to see what they were saying. Eric Demery. Eric Demery. Mole, Curly, and Larry would easily fold under questioning. So who's Mole, Curly, and Larry would easily fold under questioning? Nice to meet you, Eric. But I want to know who you're talking there. And then CJ liked the story. Yeah, there's a lot of stories. Like I said, that was just one where, I got presented with a situation. There was one time, I was in. All right, so for instance, I was in Penn Station, and I was dealing with this gypsy guy. I don't know. He ran all the concessions at Penn Station. That I don't even know. I ever told you this. So the guy wanted, I was selling the liquor, the wine and liquor. So I went there. I was a supplier. I went to meet the guy. So he's asking me, "Oh, what can you give me? What can we do?" He's trying to feel me out. So I said, "Well, we could run a program. We can do some things with you. We could take care of you. You do this, we'll do that. Blah 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 blah." So it's like, okay, good. So we started getting close, and we started doing business. So one day he calls me up. He goes, "I want to meet you at the station, Penn Station, at one of my places, concession." So I go down and I meet him at Penn Station, and we're sitting across from each other. And there's a guy sitting like a little away from us, and he's just looking, like staring. So the guy's talking. He goes, "You owe me." The guy turns around to me. He goes, "You owe me." I forgot how much money it was. He goes, "You owe me blah 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 blah." So I go, "I owe you what?" He goes, "You owe me blah 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 blah." Right? And I said, "We're good. Whatever we decided, we did already." So he's pushing, he's pressing. So then I turn around and I say, I look at this guy across from me. He's looking at me. I go, "What's with this guy over here looking?" I go, "What is he looking for?" And he goes, "Oh, So they were trying to squeeze me. Make a long story short, and I let the guy know. I said, "This is not going to happen. I've had bigger fish than this." But like, you know what I'm saying? Like stories like what happened there, you know, almost being in a situation, the Mulberry Street, that was, you know, an impactful situation, you know, going into it, not knowing what was going to happen, you know. So these things, I guess I was built for situations like this because I used to stay with the animals till 5 a.m. when they were open. All right, Eric Demery said the three Mafia Stooges, so it's an easy Three Stooges reference and Goodfellas reference. Joe Pesci in the "How Am I So Funny" scene with Leota. Okay, well, welcome to the show, Demery. Nice to meet you. Pilat at Bread Factory Prism. Dad, do you know anybody named Vito Guzzo? Vito Guzzo?
Young guys.
Oh, okay.
Young guys. Those are young guys. Vito Guccio, is a young guy. I don't know. He's a killer. He's this. He went to prison. I don't know.
He's younger than me.
Francesco Fedolino friends.
Oh, okay.
They're older than you.
Oh, they're older than me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Older than you. These are guys from Ridgewood. There was a lot of guys. There was a lot of killers. They don't want to get it to the fucking head. There was a lot of killers. That's how they wanted to make the name, the bones, by being a killer. That's it. Did they got any wealth? Did they own any restaurants? Did they own any bars? Did they own anything? Did they build any companies?
Listen,
they don't listen. They just went. They were robbing drug dealers.
Yeah,
that was the big thing in the late 90s. Everybody was robbing drug dealers. Tommy Patera, Tommy Karate did that. A lot of guys from Ridgewood, a lot of guys, that's what they were the target. Now, were they involved in any kind of money-making things? No. It was about robbing and stealing, and those were not real mafiosi, guys you want to respect. I want to respect Carlo Gambino. I want to respect Joe Bonanno. You know, even Joe Messino, he didn't make it. He only fucking had lunch wagon, and that's it. Everything else he stole from people. Even King Catering, when they had it in Long Island, it was always Sal. Sal had the brain, and they own banks too. They did business with banks.
Yep.
So,
yeah, Uncle Sal did a lot of business with the bank guys.
Yeah.
No, I know. I remember. I remember.
Checks. They were doing the phone calls.
Yeah.
They were doing all kinds of things. Sal made a lot of business.
So I want to say something that Paul Morgan, our friend Paulie. First of all, he read the book, The Father's Belief, the first one that you wrote, and he said you got a movie. You know, you should have a movie with that book, right? So Your Father's Belief, the first book you wrote.
Yeah, that Father Belief I wrote, that's the original he's talking about.
Yes, and he read it. You know, he read it and he said, you know,
because I put everything together, making my bones with the Mafia. Part 1, The Father Belief, and The Father Belief Part 2.
Right.
And the other one, they just I started screwing it up. So if people want to read The Father's Belief, Part 1 and Part 2, is making my bones with the Mafia. Now they're in auto books too. So now, you know, I'm coming out more active on my YouTubes. I'm trying to reestablish myself on my books. So we see what happened now. Winter's coming. The summer's been slow. People are going on vacation, everything. We're going to tell stories. I'm going to create more thumbnails to get attention. People are going to come. You know, we're going to see if we could build. Tonight, I'm seeing we got new faces. Little by little, we're getting new faces on the show.
Yeah.
And we'll see where we're going to go. We already hear an hour and almost 50 minutes.
Yeah.
People hanging out with us. They're talking with us. They're asking questions. Carmine over here saying, Vito Guzzo is watching me. Vito Guzzo is watching the
Well,
show.
thank you, thank you, Vito. Welcome to the show.
Come and talk.
Yeah, come talk with us.
Does he know Jack Amato? You say, come on, and Vito Guzzo is watching me. Does he know Jack Amato from Glendale, Myrtle Avenue? Was he around then? How old is Vito Guzzo? You could answer me that. How old is he? How old is Vito Guzzo?
Yeah, so let me answer that. And then in the meantime,
Let's see if he answer. Let him tell me the fucking answer.
All right. But in the meantime, I want to say hello to new people. Confessions from the underground. Welcome from the underworld. We have Francis. I saw Francis Franciati, 6396. Hi. Very nice to see you. I think that's a lady. We have a lady. That's very nice. It's nice to meet you. Tommy Stig. Tommy Stig is in the house. Welcome, Tommy Stig. So wow, we're almost done, and we got everybody coming, more people coming in. So I want to show you something. I know I want to get the Tommy. You got to show me how you do somebody's got to show me, because I wanted to share screen videos and this and that. We're gonna get better at it, folks. We got too many stories. I guess we could fill our time, But I want to show you, if I can, how a book don't judge a book by its cover, right? So if you see, these are me and my friends, right? We had the barbecue, right? So you see this picture, you got Steve the Greek, you got Chris up in his hands in the back. That's my brother there. And there's me and my friend Dennis. And I was talking about all these guys early. Chris was in The Apprentice, season 2, right? So watch this. Watch how funny this is. This is comical. If I could find it. Hold on. So never judge a book by its cover, right? So then I did this, and I put us all in jumpsuits, right, with the AI, right? So there we are. Same picture, but a different version. What does that tell you? Sometimes, like my friend said over here, good guys can go bad, right? So don't judge a book by its cover. But I want to show you all, some of the guys that I hang around with. They're good guys, and they got a lot of stories too. And hopefully one time I could get them in here. Unfortunately, Anthony Pesci is too old to play you. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of young kids now, right? I hate when they make. I don't understand for the life of me. This is what gets me crazy. They make these movies with Italian, right? Italian. Like I was watching this stupid movie yesterday. I don't know. I came across it on Tubi, I think it was, or some shit. It was called Cruise, right? It's called Cruise. Stupid movie. I don't recommend it, but Sebastian Maniscalco was in it, and he played like a coke guy. He was collecting money, whatever. And the actor's supposed to be an Italian guy from Brooklyn that meets a Jewish girl from Great Neck, right? This is the movie. And I'm watching it with Chrissy, and I'm like, they can't even fucking get Italians to play Italians. They got to hire these, I'm going to say, they're Jewish, they were Polish, they're everything but Italian, and they're playing Italian guys. Even Johnny Depp in Donnie Brasco. Like, why couldn't you can't find a good Italian guy to play an Italian part, right? Like, it fucking makes me crazy.
Your brother Angelo tried for The Soprano a few times. They get him on and they never give him a part.
I know. Yes, bad guys go good too. Underworld, yes. But I'm just saying, it just makes. I hate when they, if you're gonna make a movie depicting Italians and from the neighborhood, why not? Yeah, like Pete Davidson playing Tommy Karate, right? Things like that. I don't get it. Was there not enough Italian actors, or they don't want to use us? I don't know, but I don't know. But I think we did good today, Dad. Almost 2 hours. We got a lot of new people. We got all our friends here. Listen, this was an impactful show today. We spoke about a lot of things, and there's a lot more to speak of. Sometimes I don't want to say names, that. I don't want to talk about people names, even family members.
He never respond. Carmine never respond. How old is Vito Guzzo? I'm looking. I don't see it.
All right. So it is what it is.
Okay. Joe Messina was greedy. They mentioned it. Yes, they all were greedy. They're all greedy. They're all. Okay, I want to see any. I don't know. All right, go ahead. Try to end it, Anthony. We're here 2 hours.
Okay, so he said share, then hit add to stage. Share, then hit to stage. Share, then hit to stage. But it says share screen, Tommy. So I hit share screen first. I don't know. When I hit share screen, it says share screen. I don't know. I don't want to mess it up. I got to figure this out. We will figure it out. But slow and steady, right, wins the race, right? At the end of the day, this is the bottom line. Over here, you're getting family story. You've seen my father. You've seen my mother. You've seen me. Eventually, you'll see my brothers. They just need a little. My brother works in the school, so he doesn't want to, he's afraid to come on, But you see houses, you see life stories, you hear the stories. We talk about Amici Restaurant, which was a figure for over 20 years in Franklin Square. My father's got ties from the Rastelli days in the 70s all the way up to 2004, 5, right? So you got this whole history. You got my life that I can relate to a lot of the younger people here. I still consider myself young at 52. But, we grew up, the days that we grew up, our age, 52 to 57, 58, those were wild times. That was like the Wild West, too. A lot of action, And so, we're telling the whole truth. We're telling the stories here. I'm still not, I don't want to throw my cousins under the bus. I don't want to throw brother-in-laws under the bus. I don't want to throw cousin-in-laws under the bus. They're still around. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want, sometimes I keep the story, larger than funneling it down to saying, oh, this person that, did this to that person, so maybe one day we'll get there. I guess I got to do some investigating on who's still around, who's not around, or whatever. But the bottom line is, he wheeled me into this. That man right here, he got me involved to come on to support him and help him. He did this on his own. So I give him a lot of kudos on that. And I'm here, once, twice a week, just to give him support and tell the stories, and and hopefully we get more people on. We're open if you want to come in and be on the panel with us. We can add another person on here to talk. We just added a few moderators, right? So we want to thank Jack Amato at Jack Amato. Thank you, Bambi. As a
Bambi's not here. Bambi's not here.
Well, I don't think she's feeling well. That's what they said.
But Dave said that.
Yeah, Dave said that. Lopez, thank you for coming. But Montanero.
Okay, come on, the answer. Guzzo's 58, so he's a year younger than Dom Cicali.
Yeah.
So I mean, he should, where is he? How come he doesn't go to 52 topic? He's good friends with Francesco Fedolino. Come on.
Exactly.
Why doesn't he go there? I'm saying, why?
What? Who?
Vito Guzzo, the main 52 topic, Francesco Fedolino always talks about him.
Francesco Fedolino talks about me too. I think he's got the hots for me. I think he's got the hots for me because he brings my name up a lot, and I'm wondering if he's going to bring it up again. If he wants to go tit for tat like the other guys on the other show because he got nothing else to talk about, I don't even entertain it. But I said my piece the last time. But
all right, that's enough. That's
yeah,
enough. That's enough.
yeah, I agree.
All right. So
Can shine by.
it's 58, so he's a year younger than Dum Chikali. So they're in the same environment. They're different groups. I mean, it has nothing to do with, my lifestyle. My lifestyle was a different thing. I didn't end up going to prison. I ran restaurants and I ran bookmaking. I did everything. I did everything to make money to get back.
You did that.
I
You did.
accomplished
You did. You did. You did. You did. You did bookmaking. You sung the coke. You did Shylock.
I did everything. I did everything. I'm not.
Casino. You did casinos. You did everything. No doubt. So, and that's the facts. It is.
Okay.
So, look, CJ says bring Burgundy on the next show if there's more time to. Burgundy can come on the show, right, Dad? You like Burgundy? Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Burgundy. You had to go. But next time, yeah, Burgundy could come. CJ. Well, listen, we crushed the 2-hour mark. I think that was. I don't see many shows that talk for 2 hours about just talking. Like I don't see that much. And if they do talk, they're too busy talking about other people, fighting about other people. So
we're telling a story.
Yeah, we're telling stories.
And we answer the question as we're going.
Yes, we do. We answer the questions. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And we're not hiding, right?
Yeah, we're not.
Anybody's welcome to debate me. Anybody could come and talk. So, we got it's working now, right? StreamYard is working, right?
Yes.
No more problem.
No problem. Yeah.
So
no
right
problem.
now, me and you, we got to see if we get the third person. If maybe we could bring in Paulie. Yes, Paulie, you want to come in and talk with us, Paulie? We could talk about Franklin Square, West Hempstead. Paulie, you want to join us Wednesday? You want to join us Wednesday?
Well, Wednesday. I told you tomorrow I'll come on. Wednesday I got to go to an affair. So I said I'll check in from the phone and say hello to everybody. I wanted to wish Montenero a happy birthday.
Yeah. We're going to do the Montenero's birthday on Wednesday.
Yes.
So I guess I'm going to be a solo maybe on Wednesday.
Paulie saying, I'm not getting stuck in that. I'm not getting stuck in there. No, thank you.
You said that?
Yeah. I don't blame you, Paul. I don't blame you. You're a civilian. I'm not a civilian anymore. I'm in this thing. I'm a civilian in the genre, right? But I'm not a civilian here. So I'm inside now. But listen, my father, he's doing his thing. He's promoting everything. So
we're gonna come in. I'm gonna come in on Wednesday. I'm gonna do solo.
Okay.
You could come in and say hello. We're gonna wish Montenero. Now he's gonna be our moderator too. So we're gonna wish him happy birthday. And that's it. I'm gonna do most of it on my own. We're over 2 hours. I know.
So next time, Dad,
we threw away bombs tonight. We went bomb.
Yeah, we threw a lot of bombs. There was one part where I was talking about stories, and then I was like, I shouldn't be talking about this, right? So I didn't go through the whole thing. So some people, I probably left a thirst in your mouth, and I apologize, especially when I was talking about the Penn Station thing, and then talking about the house that I lived in, with the Messino connection there. I'll try to get it out, to leave you your thirst, full glass of water. But I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to be respectful to.
So what he said to me, Tommy says we score points tonight based on StreamYard. We had no breaking up. It's good. It's great. You know. So we're gonna go on, and now the drama gonna continue. You know, we'll see what happens. Okay, let's say good night. You know, and thank you all for coming. CJ, Francesca. I always like that name, Francesca.
Francis.
Francesca.
Probably Francesca. Yeah, Francesca.
Francesca. That's a very pretty name. Welcome, Paulie. Thank you. And Aaron, Eric. Is it Eric or Aaron?
Eric Demery, yes. Eric, thank you for joining us. Yes, Eric is good. He said a couple of good things there. He's in there. Emmanuel, thank you. So all these guys. So anyway, we will to be continued. There's so much other things to talk about, right? So we're gonna keep talking.
Oh, Francesca. Okay, see, she likes. I like Francesca. I like Francesca.
Hi, Francesca. Good night.
Francesca. Good night.
Very nice.
Huh?
Yep. All right. So we sit on the flip flop, right?
Yeah.
The flip flop.
All right, guys. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
I enjoyed it.
Me too. Good night.
Tonight we threw a lot of bombs.
A lot of bombs.
Salvatali, Joe Messino, and Jack, right?
Absolutely.
Jack Amato, Joe Messino, and Salvatali, the Three Stooges. That was the title, right?
I didn't know where you were going with that, but that's okay. It was good. I liked it. So, all right. Have a blessed evening. Thank you, Tommy. See you soon. Hey, CJ, everybody. Paulie, later. Signing out. Bye, Dad.
Read that one, Anthony.
Which one?
Paulie.
My sister was at your wedding, and she remembers Joe sitting at the table with a couple of goons behind. Get out of here.
We got a picture posted on Facebook.
His sister was at our wedding?
That's Tom.
Oh, shit! Yes! Patty.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Give her a kiss for me, Paul. Holy shit. Why didn't I don't know why I didn't put two and two. Minchik.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Min. He was the man.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yes, he was. He was there. Let me tell you, I got the tape. You know what happened? When my a lot
We'll
of shit.
talk for another day.
Yeah,
Good night.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.